right. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We are back. Continuing on with our look through the triennial Torah portion. This week we are going to be looking at Leviticus chapter 18. Leviticus chapter 18 we'll be looking at. And we'll be dealing with the practice in the land. The practice in the land. Okay, we're going to go ahead and look at, I'm going to pull up, just jump right in. Pull up Leviticus chapter 18. We'll probably, I would say, go ahead and just read through it.
Okay.
And then we will go ahead and continue and deal with the verses. Okay, so let me go ahead and just pull this up real quick. Hold on one second. Okay, go ahead.
You ready? Okay. Leviticus 18. It says, Moshe, Yahweh spake to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, I am Yahweh your Elohim. Do not do as they do in the land of Mitzrayim, where you dwelt, and do not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you, and do not walk in their laws. Do my right rulings and guard my laws to walk in them. I am Yahweh your Elohim. And you shall guard my laws and my right rulings, which a man does and lives by them. I am Yahweh. No one is to approach anyone of his own flesh to uncover his nakedness. I am Yahweh. The nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother, you do not uncover. She is your mother. You do not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife, you do not uncover. It is your father's nakedness. The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, whether born at home or elsewhere, their nakedness you do not uncover. The nakedness of your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, their nakedness you do not uncover, for theirs is your own nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife's daughter, brought forth by your father, she is your sister. You do not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your father's sister you do not uncover. She is your father's flesh. The nakedness of your mother's sister you do not uncover, for she is your mother's flesh. The nakedness of your father's brother you do not uncover. You do not approach his wife. She is your aunt. The nakedness of your daughter-in-law you do not uncover. She is your son's wife. You do not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of your brother's wife you do not uncover. It is your brother's nakedness. The nakedness of a woman and her daughter you do not uncover, nor do you take her son's daughter or her son's daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness. They are her relatives. It is wickedness. You do not take a woman as a rival to her sister to uncover her nakedness while the other is alive. And do not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness in her monthly separation of uncleanliness. And do not have intercourse with the wife of your neighbor to defile yourself with her. And do not give any of your offspring to pass through to Molech. And do not profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahweh. And do not lie with a male as with woman. It is an abomination. And do not have intercourse with any beast to defile yourself with. And a woman does not stand before a beast to mate with it. It is a perversion. And do not defile yourself with all these, For by all these the nations are defiled, which I am driving out before you. Thus the land became defiled, therefore I punished it for its crookedness, and the land vomited out its inhabitants. But you shall guard my laws and my right rulings, and do not do any of these abominations, the native nor stranger who sojourns among you. Because the men of the land who were before you have done all these things, or all these abominations, and thus the land became defiled. So let not the land vomit you out for defiling it, as it vomited out the nations that were before you. For whoever does any of these abominations, those beings who do them shall be cut off from among their people. You shall guard my charge, so as do not to do any of these abominable laws, which were done before you, so as not to defile yourselves by them. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
All right, very good.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the top. Look at some of these things over here. Go back up. Look over here. First thing I wanted to talk about was when we look over here at verse number 3. Verse number 3, where it says, do not do as they do in the land of Mitzrayim, where you dwelt, and do not do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. The Most High is bringing up these things over here, talking about and dealing with the fact that, that Israel came from a place, Mizraim. He don't want to bring those customs out of Mizraim. And he's taking Israel to this promised land, the land of Canaan. And he don't want for the people of Israel to be doing the things that's over there. Right? So he don't want Israel to be dealing with what you're coming from, and the place where you are, being that the place where you are is this strange land. He don't want for you to be dealing with the laws. He said, do not walk in their laws and their statutes. Okay? And so it's, when we look at this just from a principle standpoint, us coming out of Mitzrayim, us coming out of darkness, us coming out of the place where our master is Pharaoh, our carnal mind, Hasatan, all those things which are contrary to the will of the Most High. We're coming out of that land, and he's saying, don't do the practices of those things which you're coming out of. And so, and again, when we think about Israel going into the land, we're thinking about the birth of the nation, right? And so when you think about our rebirth as the people of the Most High, there's things there's ways, that we are accustomed to, that the Most High is saying, we can't do these things anymore. The practices, the customs of the place from which you came, leave those things. When we look at, especially when we look at, well, I won't even say especially, I'll just say starting with, I'll talk about everybody. Starting with mainstream Christianity, and where we are in this place today in 2021, where we have these so-called religious holy days, Christmas and Easter, that, you know, the mainstream church kind of equates with Christianity. But when we look at the origins and the things that make up these days, they're all intermixed with all of these foreign customs. And so, from a principle standpoint, the Most High doesn't want for worship towards Him to be intermixed with these ways of other people. I mean, this is one of the most egregious things that happened with Israel. When we think about the golden calf situation, worshiping unto the Most High and intermixing that worship with idolatry. And again, just from a principle standpoint, if you even want to just think about it from a mainstream Christian thought process and talk about, that being the Old Testament or whatever, I mean, at least you're able to understand principles. Where the principle behind a golden calf is intermixing the worship of the Most High with idolatry. Over here, if we just look at this as far as just a principle standpoint, if we want to say that we don't need to deal with this word for word or whatever it literally means, we could at least get the principle, I'm saying, where it sits up here and says that you shall not do what was done in the land of Egypt where you lived. Don't walk in their statutes. I'm saying from a principle standpoint, we should be able to figure out that the Most High don't want for His ways to be intermixed with His ways. But when we look around, these things are all over the place. And then right now, I'm just talking about from a religious standpoint. I mean, we don't even want to think about kind of the secular aspect of it, right? Because for whatever reason, our people don't understand what holiness actually is, set apartness, right? And it's interesting that when we look at what the Most High is saying for us to be doing over here, He says, don't keep their statutes. You are to perform my judgments and my statutes and to live according to them. And so when we talk about their statutes, he kind of puts those kind of opposed to His statutes, right? So we aren't supposed to deal with their ways in terms of a way of living, because His judgments, His right rulings, His statutes and commands are about living, right? It's about right living. And so if we want to deal with a standard of righteousness, we can't look outside of what the Most High has provided for us. In fact, He's saying there's a way that they do it, but don't do that. And there's also a way that these people where you are, there's a way that they're doing it, and He's saying don't do it that way either. And so we could really look at this and think about from a broader standpoint, and just think about the idea that the Most High is bringing forth over here. He is telling us how He wants for us to live our lives. And if we're taking things from these other peoples, He's he's saying that he don't want you to be doing that. Let's look at something else over here along these same lines, because as we go through this chapter and we see all of these things that he's saying that he don't want for his people to be doing, all of these things are things that other peoples do and call normal. That's wicked. And he's saying, don't get into their wickedness. You just stay over in my righteousness. But just look over here real quick. Let's look at this real quick.
While you pull that up, can I just say,
Go ahead.
one of the things
Nice
I
and
used
loud.
to hear all the time, from church folk is, I am sanctified and filled with the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you look up the word sanctified, it means to be set apart, to be consecrated,
Yeah.
to be hallowed.
Mm-hmm.
And everything they do is opposite of that.
Yeah.
They don't set themselves apart.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hallowed. You know what I mean? It's like they let all of these wicked things just be incorporated and placed into their everyday life.
Yeah. And also, just as a custom, when you think about, and right now I'm just talking about mainstream Christianity. Set apartness only lasts a couple hours.
On Sunday, exactly.
Not even the whole day, just like a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying, you get your Sunday best.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You go and you go and do your little, mean, they be having like 3-4 services in one day. And you can't, you make it to whichever service that you make it to, but that's what you giving the Most High.
Yeah. And it's from when the pastor speaks to when he's done, because when they hit the parking lot, it's back on.
It's back on.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just turning on and off.
Yeah.
But we supposed to be a holy people now, and so it got to be more than just that little time that you sitting in those pews over there. And some people be over there,
still
working all types of iniquity.
I think that's why it's really not real to them, is because they don't look at it as being like a part of their customs.
Yeah.
Like they don't look at it as being like, oh, this is our thing. This is how we're supposed to be day in and day out. It's like something they adopt for a minute and then they just go back to the regular flow.
It's a thing that you do.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta go over here on this day at this time and hear this uplifting message.
Right.
Maybe I'll get a little shout in, and maybe I'll cut a little rug. But then when that's over, you go right back out. It's people over there that might got a hangover from last night.
Yeah.
Because we got to have a life of set apartness, not an hour or two. Right? We got to have a life of holiness and righteousness. And so, the Most High, he's going through great lengths. This is chapter 18. He been talking about set apartness since like chapter 10. In different ways, over and over again, that is necessary for his people. But we want to look at Jeremiah 10, 2 and verse 3.
Thus said Yahweh, do not learn the way of the nations, and do not be awed by the signs of the heavens, for the nations are awed by them. For the laws of these peoples are worthless, for one cuts a tree from the forest, work for the hands of a craftsman with a cutting tool.
Here, just keep on reading, because this is interesting. Keep on going.
Yeah, I was wondering if you was gonna pull this up, because I didn't know if you was gonna go here, but you did, so great. They beautify it with silver and gold, and strengthen it with nails and hammers, so that it does not topple. It says they are like a rounded post, and they do not speak. They have to be carried because they do not walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they do no evil, nor is it in them to do any good. There is none like you, O Yahweh. You are great, and great is your name and might.
Okay, very good. So we look over here and we look at these verses. Just idolatry in general is a kind of a silly thing, right? Because before I can worship the God, I gotta make it.
You're right.
Before I worship the God, I gotta build. I gotta construct the thing,
Exactly.
and then beautify it. I gotta beautify the thing and strengthen it
Right.
first.
Right.
And then once I fortify it and beautify it, then I can worship it. It's kind of a silly thing. But we can think about this a little deeper now, because when you think about the way that people deal with the scriptures, we kind of switch around and deal with the scriptures the way we want to deal with the scriptures. And then we worship it, this thing that we create,
Right.
instead of taking the scriptures for what they saying to us,
Right.
and dealing with that. And so you really you are operating in idolatry when you go through this book right here. You go through this book and you got this you got like this little Sharpie. And you say, well, these things here, this is not for me. This is for some other people. I'm just going to have this stuff over here. A matter of fact, it's less than that. Oh, it's these
right.
things.
Yeah.
It's these things. Hold on. Let me look at this.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at this, this is this.
Exactly.
This is the stuff that you don't want over here. This is most of the book over here.
People cut out.
And then this is the stuff that you do want over here. But the problem is that you can't even properly understand this stuff over here because you done already got rid of this part. Like, this is the first part.
Right.
Like, this is the foundation over here, this part. This thick part over here.
That's the only thing they had during the time
The-
of that part.
Yeah.
The other part.
Right.
These people that you reading about over here didn't have nothing but this part over here, this. But all you want is this. Well, meanwhile, you don't understand this because you forsaken this.
And
So-
it's crazy because the people that didn't have this part didn't understand that part.
Yeah.
So now we got the whole thing. Because exactly. You need the whole.
You got to have all of this stuff together. And if you don't have it all together, you done created your own thing, which is an idol. It's the same thing we just looked at over here. You done created an idol. You hammered it with your theological nails, and you beautified it with your theological silver and gold, and now you worship it. But it's not the thing that the Most High had created. But over here, Jeremiah saying, do not learn the ways of the nations. That's the same thing that we just was looking at in Leviticus. And don't be awed by the signs of the heavens. For the nations are awed by them. If we look that word up here, let me pull this up here. Second here. Let's see. Verse 2. Dismayed. Katat. Look at this. To prostrate. To prostrate. And so when you think about prostrating, you think about the idea of worship. You think about the idea of bowing yourself down to a thing. Okay? And so when we look at this over here, where it's talking about do not learn the ways of the nations and do not bow down to or prostrate oneself by the signs of the heavens. When we think about this again, we still see this idea of idolatry and connecting ourselves with and worshiping these things and ways that are created by these foreign wicked people. And so again, we could think about this from a religious standpoint, or again, we could think about it from a secular standpoint, because the Most High's people, Israel, who we are, is a set apart people, and we are not supposed to be, out here looking like these other nations. We're not supposed to be over here, causing all of these other nations, to look as if they are in the right, because in all actuality, this place is wickedness. Okay, so let's keep on going over here because we want to look at this. Let's pull up these verses over here from the, what's it say? They even joke around about their own foolishness on their TV shows and plays. I mean, this, it's interesting. Let's pull this up because this is very important. Let's go to this real quick. Get the other. Let's see, 4 and chapter 4. Start reading at verse 23.
Says, for it was not my mind to be curious of the high things, but of such as pass by us daily, namely, wherefore Israel is given up as a reproach to the heathen, and for what cause the people whom thou hast loved is given over unto ungodly nations, and why the law of our forefathers is brought to naught, and the written covenants come to none effect. And we pass away out of the world as grasshoppers, and our life is an astonishment and fear, and we are not worthy to obtain mercy. What will he then do unto his name, whereby we are called? Of these things have I asked. Then answered he me and said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel. For the world hastens fast to pass away, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in times to come, for the world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities.
Okay, so when we look over here, it's interesting. When we look at this, it talks about us, this people, given over to the heathen, but these people that are given over to this heathen, it says, why the law of our forefathers is brought to naught, and the written covenants come to none effect. These things come to pass because the people turn over to the ways of the places where we are. Mm-hmm. Right? So the law of our forefathers is brought to nothing because of us not keeping those things. That's how they come to nothing. The written covenants come to none effect because the people give way to the ways of the heathen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so it says, and our life is astonishment and fear, and then you become a person who's not worthy to obtain mercy. Why? Because you gave yourself over to the will and the ways of the nations, as opposed to submitting yourself to the will of the Most High.
Can I ask something?
Go ahead.
It was interesting. It's like you got these heathen nations, and they can go along with their wickedness and operate. And
In their wicked.
yeah, and it looks normal. Like you look at these nations,
And it works for them.
and it works.
Yeah, they're successful.
I mean, to the degree that, you know, but I'm just saying, like, but us,
They're benefiting.
it's like we hit our head
Yeah.
immediately. All which kind of way where you see whatever nation we was scattered to, or we try to adopt whatever heathen custom, we just got all kind of. I mean, we know it's the curses, but it's just so blatant. It's like it don't work for us at all.
You see it every day.
Yeah,
You see our people trying to do what them people do, and they get their head cracked.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like they, like you see white folk all the time talking back to police officers saying, "Nah, man, you on my shit." You know what I mean? Just telling them what to do. They back out. They got some of them be having guns.
Right.
They
Drawing
don't do
them.
nothing. You know what I'm saying? They literally. But our people do that.
Yeah,
They get their heads
You-
cracked.
you don't obey one order. Get the gun out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so the thing about it is the Most High chastises those that He loves. And so the problem is that, you know, our people need to be able to turn back to the Most High
Mm-hmm.
instead of, you know, turning towards the ruler of this world.
Right.
You know, when we look over here, the people unfortunately are going to end up passing away like this grasshopper and not be worthy to obtain mercy because of the forsaking of the ways of the Most High.
Exactly. Yep.
But another thing is that when you think about it, you know, those people who aren't connected to the Most High, you can't comprehend the things
Right.
that are promised to the righteous in the time to come. Whether you are the people or you ain't the people, your mind frame is not. It is about this physical realm. It's not about the world to come. Your mind frame is about right now and who's ruling right now. It's not about things that are spiritual. And so, but when you have a mind that is kind of stuck in carnality, it's kind of like, well, it's exactly like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right, where the real, what's really going on, you have no idea. You're oblivious to.
Exactly.
You don't know what's really going on. You only able to see what
The
you're
results.
able to see.
The results of it. Yeah.
But reality, which is spiritual, you're not able to see that.
You know, a black woman wrote the Matrix, and they stole it out of her.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. But the spiritual implications that exist there is so powerful, because if we would just be able to look towards the one that made us and turn away from these wicked ways, that rule us and that are all around.
Right.
Let's look at one other thing before we go back to the. Let's look at a couple things here. Let's see. Let's look at 15. Begin reading here at verse. Excuse me. Just read. Just go ahead and read it to the end of the
Wisdom of
chapter.
Solomon, 15:15. let's see. For they counted all the idols of the heathen to be gods, which neither have the use of the eyes to see, nor noses to draw breath, nor ears to hear, nor fingers of hands to handle. As for their feet, they are slow to go.
Hold on 1 second. Is when you look at this, and you also think about Jeremiah chapter 10, it kind of makes it sound ridiculous a little bit. Because you're sitting up here praying to this thing that you made it. You made the thing.
Right.
I want to sit up here and talk to you about the one who made all heaven and earth.
Right.
And you want to sit up here and talk about this thing that you made. And you want to worship that. Keep on going.
But make it even worse, not even they made, other people made. And you can worship something somebody else made. Nowadays, we don't even make nothing to, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, verse 16, for man made them, and he borrowed his own spirit, fashioned them. I was just saying. But no man could make a God like unto himself.
Oh, God. I'm sorry. I was going to say, you ever see, the God hands? The white God hands that be coming out of the clouds? They be showing. Yeah. I saw a picture on Facebook where the white God hands was like coming out of the cloud, and then the black person who had the Facebook page placed their picture. They were in the hands of the white God hands. Like they were laying in the hands of the white God hands. I was like,
there you go.
I'm like, man, you are messed up.
Verse 18.
17.
Oh, okay. 17. For being mortal, he worketh a dead thing with wicked hands. For he himself is better than the things which he worshipeth. Whereas he once lived, but they never. Yea, they worship those beasts also that are most hateful, for being compared together. Some are worse than others. Neither are they beautiful, so much as to be desired in respect of beasts, but they went without the praise of the Most High and his blessing.
Okay, very good. So looking over here, just the idea of, again, we following after the ways of these nations. Like, these other nations are the ones who come up with these things that are being spoken of over here, with these ideas of fashioning these idols and then worshiping them, right? But the writer's even saying you as a person are better than the idol that's being made.
Right.
And you sit up here worshiping this thing over here. Mm-hmm. But what about the one that made you? That's the one that made you. That's better than the thing that you're making. But this is what our people are out here doing when we attach ourselves to the heathen, forsaking the will and the ways of the Most High. Mm-hmm. And so again, we think about Leviticus. Leviticus is saying, don't do those things that they did, the practices of Egypt. If you saying that you somebody that crossed over, if you saying that you somebody that came out from Egypt, if you saying that you somebody that has now become a follower of Yeshua HaMashiach, how I'ma see you sitting around in bars and going around and getting high and looking exactly just like the world. Right. Whenever you said that you was a follower of Yeshua HaMashiach, you looking just like the world. You didn't never come out of the world. If you still looking like the world, but when we look in Leviticus, he's sitting up there saying, You came out of Egypt. Don't do those things that you used to do. I got some new things for you to do over here. You gonna go over to this place where I'm taking you, and it's gonna be, that place is gonna be filled with heathens. Don't do what they doing either. Even though they all around you. I'm gonna give you a whole bunch of new things to do. But we see the Most High, he got to say this because this is where we're at.
Yeah.
This is where we're at even just right now. People love that Egyptian stuff, don't they? Kemet. They love that. We came out of Egypt.
They want to go back.
They want to go back.
They're taking trips. Matter of fact, they might be on one right now taking the trip.
Hey, man. I can't. I don't understand that. To me, I don't understand. I don't understand Kemet.
They talking about the gods and all. Yeah, these was our gods. And
Nah,
you know,
they wasn't mine.
Amen Ra.
Yeah.
They wasn't mine. And we can sit up there and look in the scriptures, and he stood up there and say, he literally sat up there and said, you shall not do what was done in the land of Egypt where you live. Okay, we lived there.
And that's something. That's a big right there. That's something to be said right there. That this whole Egyptian movement is so big in our community, and how they're drawing people to come back to Egypt. And guy, oh yeah, you're a god, you're this and that. You know what I mean? It's like he commands us not to do as they do it in Egypt, as we did in Egypt, right? And in today's society, we have this big movement going on to pull us back into Egypt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which is wickedness. It's wickedness.
But then not to know that if Egypt was so great, why was it destroyed?
Right. Why ain't they still there?
It's not in power no more.
Them Arabs there.
Yeah, like the Most High took the power of Egypt away, and you think that that's where we need to go to?
Right.
Yeah. And so, this is just another example when look at the fact that, our people we love a lie.
We do.
We love a lie.
Definitely.
We hate the truth. We hate the truth and we love a lie.
I mean, you can tell somebody a lie and they be on every word like,
Oh yeah?
yeah.
Wow, that is true. But it be a lie though.
Be a lie.
But the problem is that we got to be able to be connected to the Most High. We need that Ruach HaKodesh to cause us to get these blinders taken off of our eyes. Because when we're not connected to the source, we can't tell the difference between right and wrong. We don't know the difference between light and dark because, we're dark. Right? We need to be pulled out of darkness so that we can know what light is. But people not joining themselves to the master, for that to happen. Before we go back to Leviticus, I want to go over to Luke real quick. Book of Luke. See what your shoes are saying. Let me get this other. Cause we got to do something about this. Cause whether you talking about mainstream Christians or you talking about these Hebrews out here, we got to understand about holiness and set apartness. And these people just want to be, I don't know what they want to be, but holy ain't it for whatever reason. Let's look at this real. Luke 12:29, read down through 32.
It says, and seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth what you need when you have need of these things, but rather seek ye the kingdom of Yahweh, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
Okay, very good. So he said, for all these things, drink and eat. Verse 30, all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knows what you need. The nations, what the nations do is sit up here and seek after. Hold on, let me see what this word seek is over here. Let me see what this word seek is over here. The nations, he said this is what the nations of the world seek after, eating and drinking. Except I kind of like to eat and drink, though. I like food and drinking. I mean, like, have being sustained from a physical standpoint. He said that's what the nations do. Look at this. This word over here. If I could pull up, there we go. Okay, of uncertain affinity to seek, literally or figuratively, specifically by Hebraism. So this is like a kind of a Hebrew euphemistic usage over here to worship God, to worship, right? And so this seeking over here is a little more than me just going to the grocery store. And it's a little more than just eating or drinking, for that matter. It's about me sitting up here striving. This is my life to just attain physical things. This is my life, right? This is my God. These are my idols, my physical accomplishments, right? He said, but rather seek the kingdom of Elohim. And then you're going to get all the things that you need. But you got to seek him first. He got to be up front. And so when we think about this, right, we got to understand that the most important thing that there is for us to be doing is seeking the face of the Almighty. And then when we begin to see his face and we begin to understand who he is, and we begin to understand all the wonderful things that he's done for us, he begins to unlock things for us. But we always have to be striving for the kingdom, though. Not for eating and drinking. I mean, because we're going to eat and drink. We're going to eat and drink. But is that what we striving for? We striving for the Most High. I feel like when we're properly chasing after the creator and sustainer of all things, our focus is not the physical realm. I mean, it's reality. There's things that we do in this world, right? But our focus is the Most High. These other things that we do in this world, tools. These are things that we use for the kingdom, right? We got to be kingdom minded, right? And so when we're kingdom minded, we're not out here making a bad example for the kingdom, because we representatives for the kingdom. So if I'm a representative for the kingdom, I'm going to try to make sure that every time you see me, I'm representing the kingdom. Wherever you see me at, I need to be representing the kingdom every time. never off, always on. Every time. If you catch me slipping, you better tell me. Because it's just that I'm slipping. Because, that's how we are to be. Because we're a set apart people, not operating according to the ways of Egypt, the ways of the world. Okay? What's this person say? Money. The world puts on. Let me just see here. The world puts an emphasis on consumption, taking natural desires and making them distractions. Let's see here. And even idols. Yes. Yes. And so again, we as the people of the Most High, we as Israel, we have to be about kingdom business and not out here looking like the world. Because he literally said, he didn't even halfway say it. Don't do the things that were done in Egypt where you lived, nor do what is done in the land of Canaan where I am bringing you. Don't walk in their statutes. Don't walk in their ways. Don't do as they did. I'm giving you a new way. What's somebody saying? Teresa. That's a problem with our people. They want to be holy people, but they don't want to learn what it looks like and conforming themselves to it.
Can I add something too? Like, I just want to. I probably spoke about it on one of the lives before, but it just reminds me when I first was waking up to the faith and the truth and all that, and like, I don't know, the spirit just really came on me to you. Like, I had to get rid of everything, like all distractions. Like, I just had a room with my computer where, the teachings that I did, getting my Bible, and that's all I did. I went to work and came home, and basically I went through the whole Bible. It was like the course of like 6 to 9 months in that time frame. And it was like it's like a recalibration that has to take place, especially being in the world. Like, people think that they can teeter-totter or still deal with the world, and like, you have to. It's really, it's not an easy thing. Like, I don't.
No.
I think people think it's like an easy thing, or just you just read it and you got it. Like, you have to. The transformation is like, you got to shut the world out. Like, my friends was knocking on the door. You can attest to it. They was coming like, "What's up with you? What's going on?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm reading the Bible." Like, and it was like, as a transformation I had to go through. Like, you have to put off the world and not like you said, like, not do what you were doing. Like, Egypt, you couldn't do the same stuff. And so that, for me, it wasn't hard, because I don't know. But for most people, like, you can understand, like, you hear this as sometimes the extreme that you got to go to get that old spirit out of you to kill it so you can move forward.
I think the hardest part is getting to that place and realizing that you have to submit yourself to the process of transformation. That's the hardest part. Once you get to that part, you already have been convinced that this is what needs to happen. But the problem is that sometimes the way that this thing is sold, it turns into this kind of a mental thing when it's spiritual. Something got to happen on the inside of you to really cause you to want to go all in and do what needs to be done. Your carnal mind is only able to take you but so far. It takes something to happen on the inside of you to get you to the place where you're like, I need to concentrate on this because this is life. When you are a person that's torn between two opinions, that's called confusion.
Right.
And you said this most eloquent word you used. You said teeter-tottering. But you can't teeter-totter in this over here. Either you on or you off. Either you hot or you cold.
Yeah.
There's no in between. You can't be in between. You lukewarm. You can't be in between. And so there's many people who you in that in between space. But guess what? In that in between space, you're off. In that in between space, you're cold. Period. Point blank. There's no middle ground. You can't be halfway in. You either in or you out. Go ahead and shut my door. You letting the air out. You know what I'm saying? You either in or you out. You can't be in between. There's no middle, right? There's no gray areas over here, right? It's black or it's white.
Can I read the scripture?
Go ahead. I'll pull it up. What is it?
1 John 2:15.
Hold on. Let me find my
I was
cursor.
just going to say, I think you also have to get through that uncomfortable, because it's going to get uncomfortable when you first start learning, because the things that you used to do, you're learning that you're not supposed to be doing. And then that feeling of uncomfortableness comes along, and then you change or adapt to what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And well, yes, absolutely. And so again, that's that just speaks to the idea of submitting yourself to the Most High's will. His ways aren't our ways, and so the sooner we're able to understand that His ways aren't our ways, is the better our process is going to be. Right. Understanding that, yes, these are things that I don't know anything about, but I need to learn about these things.
Right.
I need to be doing these things. When you look at what Yeshua said, when He said, if you not able to hate your mother, sister, brother, then you can't follow me. If you're not able to pick up, if you want to be my disciple, then you need to pick up your torture stake and follow me. This life involves things, person, places, things being cut off. Period. And some of them things is parts of you.
Right.
Some of them things is parts of you. The parts that He don't want, that He can't use, that He don't need, them parts of you need to be cut off. And it's uncomfortable. It don't feel good. But it got to be done if you want to follow after the Master. So what we want to do is we want to follow after the Master, and we want to keep all the things that we like. Meanwhile, it's the things that you like about yourself that's getting you a first class ticket to hellfire.
Exactly. I mean, so it's safe to say, like, if you ain't uncomfortable,
you ain't doing nothing. You playing games.
Yeah, exactly.
You just playing, like how you be saying.
You playing.
You out here playing. If this is just a easy road,
if it's easy, you pick it up and it's just
then you ain't doing nothing. You ain't doing nothing.
Oh, it's Most High.
You just out here just playing games because you didn't never. What'd you lose?
Exactly.
What did you sacrifice?
Right.
He said, pick up your torture stake. That's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
A sacrifice is death involved. You killing all something.
And his torture stick, he had to carry it. He said, pick it up. So you going to be carrying torture.
And that
with
thing was
you,
heavy
like,
too.
Yeah. It ain't like you pick it up and put it down.
Nah.
You got to carry it somewhere
Yeah, and there's a
to
destination.
the goal line,
Exactly.
and you don't put it down to the end.
You got to get there. You got to get there. And so, we got to think about all these things. So, the Most High said, look, I know that you got ways about you that you're familiar with. In Leviticus, he said, I know you got ways about you that you're familiar with, but you're not doing those ways no more. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, the place where I'm taking you, there's people over there who they got some ways about them. Mm-hmm. Don't do those things either. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you all the things that you need in order to be the person that I want for you to be. And I'm going to make the standard for you. That's what the Most High said, Leviticus. That's what we just read. Don't do the things from Mizraim. Don't do the things from Canaan. Only do the things from what I said. What was it? What was it? 1 John what?
1 John 2:15.
Oh, 2:15.
We kind of been going over it.
Oh,
That was true. That's all good.
Love not the world, neither the things that are in it, that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Mm-mm. Come on now. This is just period, point blank. And so, if you out here and you know what you love and what you don't love,
Right?
And it's not even an argument. Mm-hmm. If I catch you in a place where you ain't supposed to be at, well, if I catch you, I'm probably there too. If somebody catch you and come back and tell me about it,
You might see him coming
You
out.
could be going past it.
You might see him coming out.
You going past it. Like, wait a minute. You come on.
Listen. I'm saying that if you love, this verse is saying if you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. So if there's this thing about over there that you just I can't give that up, then you love the world,
Right.
And the love of the Father ain't in you. Period.
Right.
If there's things over there that you're not able to just drop and be done with,
Mm-hmm.
then this verse is saying that the love of the Father is not in you.
Right.
Because you love that thing. You love it because you don't want to hurt it. You don't want to part from it. You only want to do what's good for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you only want to be with that thing because you love it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not able to part with that thing, guess what? You love it, and the love of the Father is not in you. And so people got to get to the place where they just honest with yourself. Just be honest with yourself.
Right.
Because you not hurting nobody but your own self.
Right. Well, we gotta finish.
Oh, we'll do it.
It
What
says,
else?
for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever.
And so people ain't thinking about forever though. People ain't out here thinking about forever.
Definitely not.
And that's the problem. You thinking about just whatever your little timeline,
Right now.
just right now. And you not if people was thinking about forever, then they wouldn't be out here thinking, holding on to these things that's in the world.
Right.
Cause knowing that these things that's in the world is gonna get you death, everlasting.
But let's talk about what's dictating like your action. What is luring you to something? It's the lust.
It's this right
The
here.
lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the things you're looking at, the things that you thinking. That's what you're going after. Not you ain't going after the Most High or righteousness. You going after what you see. And when they talk about the world, we know
That is the world.
the Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So everything that we see, not everything, but like the actions, we know the scriptures talk about what is wickedness and what ain't. And the lust of the flesh and the eye, that's what's going to draw you to it, as opposed to sitting back and having that spiritual filter to be like, is this of the Most High or not? Or just go, I'm going to it. It look good.
Well, the law of the world is to follow your lust.
That's true.
To go after what you lust for. Like, oh, you want that? Get that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all geared up on, people's lust and doing what you want. Whatever, do without will. You know what I mean? That is the whole of the law. It's straight satanic. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's based in, like, they're playing on people's lust. They're giving them, they're dangling all of the things that people lust after in front of their eyes, and they're just following them like zombies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important. When we look at Leviticus chapter 18, where it talks about this idea of not going through these things that from Egypt where you were, this over here, 1 John 2, 15 through 17, is those things over there. Because prior to Yeshua, your whole life revolves around, functioning within this world and appeasing your carnal appetites. That's what is behind you. When you follow after Yeshua, what's behind you is carnality. That's your Egypt. That's your Misraim. That's the thing that you leaving behind, that where you lived there in carnality. But now you moving forward out of carnality and into the Ruach HaKodesh, which is leading you and causing you to do the law, statutes, and commands of the Most High. And so when we think about this idea of living this life of carnality, if your flesh is the thing that rules you, then the love of the Father is not in you. Because you love your flesh so much that you just continue to let it rule you when the Spirit is supposed to rule you. Right? So if you're only controlled by your flesh, then you love your flesh and the places that it takes you and the experiences that it brings about, and you're not willing to put those things down, then guess what? The love of the Father is not in you. That's what that verse is saying over there. Mm-hmm. When the love of the Father is in you, then you trying to crush the flesh. You trying to keep the flesh under subjection. You trying to do those things which the Most High is calling for you to do. Walking in righteousness, not walking in wickedness. Okay? And so the Most High is calling for us to turn away from the ways in which we were in before. Okay? All right, let's keep on going. Let's go over to let me see here. I'm gonna go to John. We still talk about Leviticus even though we're in John over here. Leviticus 14 and 17.
It says, even the Spirit of truth. Oh, you got it on the screen? On the screen?
Yep.
Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeth him not, neither knoweth him. But ye know him, for he dwelleth with you, and shall be in you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. The world can't receive the Spirit of truth. That's what that said right there. Even the Spirit of truth, the world can't receive.
Yep.
But like I said, if you sitting up here looking like the world and doing all the things of the world, guess what? You didn't never receive the Spirit of truth.
Right, exactly.
Because if you had the Spirit of truth, then you would put down the things of the world and they wouldn't be sitting up here ruling over you.
And that's why you can instantly see it.
You could instantly
You
see.
can instantly see who has it and who doesn't. When you know the book, when you
when
got
you
the
know
spirit.
what he says.
When you got the spirit and you know what, because you can see it.
It looks a certain way.
Your
It looks a certain way.
I always say your actions tell what you know.
You know by your fruit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
How can we hold up?
I think that's why the commission was so great to preach the gospel, is because, you know, people got to know.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't hold people accountable for what they don't know. Like, you know, we got children out here that's literally being educated by their parents into wickedness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, they have to get an opportunity to know the truth so they can decide for themselves whether they're going to go to the left with the world or they're going to go right with the Most High.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know, that's the thing. and you know, the thing that we got to understand over here is that people need the Ruach HaKodesh. They need the spirit inside of them. They need the spirit of truth. We need the spirit inside of us so that we're able to walk in the will and the ways of the Most High. We can't sit up here and try to educate somebody in their mind with no ruach, because the world can't receive the spirit of truth. I could sit up here and talk to you about what the Most High said over and over again. I could sit up here and say that, you know, the Most High wants you to do this, that, and the other thing. But if you don't have the spirit of truth, then you're not receiving the spirit of truth. You can't receive it.
Nor understand it.
You can't understand it. It's foolishness to you. It's foolishness what I'm talking to you. When I sit up here and talk to you about set apartness and righteousness, and you don't got the Ruach HaKodesh, you saying, get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't got to do all that. That's what they did back in them days. I don't got to do all that. Now we do this over here. But the difference is that the spirit of truth, it says right there, the world won't receive it. And so the emphasis got to be about Yeshua. The emphasis got to be about the fact that you need a savior. You need to develop an intimate relationship with the Master Yeshua, so that that light could be turned on inside of you. And so you get to the place where you understand that you need to understand what it is, what the standards of the Most High is. You know, the first thing that could ever happen is, you know, you coming to Messiah. That's the only way. That's the only way. He said he's the door. Any other way, you out here robbing. Go ahead.
I was looking at John chapter 10, verse 27.
Hold on.
Sheep here,
10, what verse?
27.
Yeah.
Let me read it.
Well, I'll read it. Unless you wanted to.
It's okay.
Okay.
You do it.
It says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me.
I mean, come on. If you out here and you doing things that's frowned upon by the Master Yeshua, how you following him? You're not.
Right.
You're not following him.
Right.
If you out here looking just like the world, you're not following him. And he called out to you before you did it. if you was halfway in, he telling you to come all the way in.
Yeah.
But you turned around and stepped back out. He said, "Come on this way," and you went that way. If you're following after the master, then you're moving in the direction that he's going in, not the opposite. And so it's easy for us to be able to look and see, oh man, they tripping. That one right there. Because there's a way that we're supposed to be in this world. And it's not a secret way. It's not like a thing that we can't know what it is.
Right.
Like it's known.
I think what makes it confusing is that you have a conflict of messages. So you have the church who's saying the law's done away with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they tell you, don't sin. They tell
Well,
you
the moral law is still good.
Right.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that
I don't
is.
know what it is,
Right,
but that's what they say.
You know what I mean? And it's just confusing because it's like, okay, well, sin is the transgression of the law.
Yeah.
So, people are like confused. Like, well, what do I do? Do I got freedom out here?
Yeah.
But they don't connect the dots like, because of the different doctrines that are being preached out here.
There's definitely a lot of confusion, but what I would say, and I really believe that people who have had a genuine encounter with Hamashiach, there's no doctrines that's going to hinder what the Ruach HaKodesh wants to do in a person's life.
You're absolutely right.
When you really meet the master, he gonna bring you out because you gonna be really following after that spirit. You really gonna be doing it. And but again, what you see is somebody hearing his voice and following after him. The problem is that you're right. These people, there's a lot of confusion that is created, whether it be the church or whoever, where Messiah is misrepresented, and people not getting the full. They not getting the full message. They getting some altered form of it. And it's causing problems. But I'm saying that people that are hearing the master's voice are moving the way that he wants for people to move. Unfortunately, many are called, but few are chosen. That's what he said. That's red letters, and there's gonna be a lot of people who did a lot of things for the master, and he gonna say to them, I never knew you. I never had no relationship with you. I never knew you. And that's
They're gonna be calling him Lord, though.
they're gonna be calling him Lord. They're gonna have did things for the kingdom too.
Yeah.
But he gonna say to them, I never knew you.
But he calls them though. What does he call them though?
Well, he calls them workers of iniquity is what he calls them.
He calls them.
Or lawlessness.
Yeah. Or lawlessness.
All right, let's go back over here because these are some interesting things over here. So if we go back to Leviticus chapter 18, we see over here that he says, verse 3, don't do those things. You do these things, my judgments. Don't do their things. Don't walk in their ways. Do my judgments. Do my ordinances. You walk in those things. And then he put a period on it. I'm Yahweh your Elohim. I mean, come on. What else do you need? Like, that's what he said, right? Let me see this here. then when it goes down, it goes into now some of these weird practices. What's going on with this thing? It goes into some of these weird practices of these foreign nations. These things that these other people, yeah, but we gotta have this here because that's what people was doing.
Right.
And you can't do that stuff. That's what they did. You may have witnessed these things in your life from Egypt, or you may witness these things in Canaan. But these ways aren't my ways.
You know what's interesting is that America Great Seal is a pyramid.
That don't make any sense to me. Why is there Egyptian things on our money?
Because
Why is there an obelisk in the nation's capital?
Wow.
It just was just weird.
the nations,
What is this place? What is this?
spiritual Egypt.
Egypt.
Right, there you go.
And what's deep too is
It don't
like
make any sense.
I'm looking at this and it just came to me like Israel physically came out of Egypt and was told this. Now we spiritually coming out of Egypt and we're reviewing this, and this is spiritual Egypt.
Well,
It's
they
like,
do these things. They do
Exactly.
these things over.
like you said, the detail, but this is what's happening today. And spiritually, we sitting here trying to come out or coming out of this place, and it's like wow, this is crazy.
From physical bondage to spiritual
Yeah,
or mental bondage.
I mean, you know, you think about it. They said they built treasure cities for Pharaoh. We built America
yeah.
Yeah.
We
and
built-
slaves.
That's slaves.
Wow. One from another.
Yeah. However, we Israel, and we supposed to be not doing the things that these people want for us to be out here doing, even though they're the ones that's in control. It's interesting because you dealing with Israel coming out of Egypt, but they're going into Canaan, a land that there's going to be some opposition in there. They're going to have to be dispossessed over there. And so when you think about the fact that we're in this land where we don't necessarily have control over our entire situation, the Most High still call for us, even though we don't have total control over our situation, to maintain our standard that He created for us. Just like for them. They're going into this hostile environment, and He's saying don't do what they do over there. Well, we're in a hostile environment, and again, the same thing is true. We can't do what these people was doing. They want to sit up here and make these things be right, but the Most High didn't never say they was right. Matter of fact, He said they was wrong and an abomination. But these people want to sit up here and make it seem like that we got to sit up there and accept these people's ways as right when it's wicked. It's wickedness. And even how they do it. Like they sit up here. Listen, this place that we live in, I'm all about free speech. You say whatever you want to say because I want to say whatever I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in free speech. I don't care. You can say whatever you want to say. But I want to say whatever I want to say. So I don't want to stop you from saying your free speech because I want to have mine.
Mm-hmm.
But these people want to sit up here. They want to sit up here and then, but it's like they force you to have to accept this reality. Hey, you can say what you want to say, but don't try to make me accept it, though. I don't want to accept it. I don't accept it. I don't accept your reality. You could be whatever you want to be. If that's what you want to be, if you're a man and you want to be a woman, I don't care. Be that. But you don't gotta. But the way that this place is, it's like they're forcing you to accept it.
You gotta accept that
I
man
don't.
being a woman.
I don't believe you're a woman if you're a man.
Right.
You could believe that. That's fine.
Right.
But you can't make me believe it.
Mickey Mouse.
And this thing gets so twisted. Like it's like it turns from one thing to the next. Where okay, say be what you want to be.
Yeah.
But I don't gotta believe that you're that. You believe it. I'm gonna treat you like what you are. You gonna force me to agree with you? They take this wickedness and they trying to force it on me. I gotta agree with your wickedness. I'll never agree with your wickedness. But we're in this wicked place. We got all this wickedness around us. And so we have to be able to make that distinction between us and them. There got to be a distinction. I'm not going to sit around here and have these people confuse me for something else.
Sometimes I wonder, maybe y'all can answer this, because I be wondering sometimes. Do these people read the Bible and say, I'm going to do exactly opposite what they said to do, or are they naturally doing
I don't know.
what we ain't supposed to do?
Well, I think they're connected to their master, which is Satan.
And Satan
And
naturally
they have the spirit
does.
of
Wow.
Satan.
Maybe that's the answer, because that's crazy.
And they're just carrying out.
Because I read the book and I'm like,
yeah.
how you going to make laws?
I mean, they got a father. We got a
Supporting.
father.
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, if you want to sit up here and say that you want to lay with a man as a man lays with a woman, all right, cool. You do that.
Let's not get the video pulled.
But if you want to sit up here, I don't got that many. You know what I'm saying? I ain't on nobody's radar. If you want to sit up here and then add the Bible to it,
Yeah.
you going out of bounds.
Nah, you jumped out the window.
If you want to be that, be that.
But
You
don't-
got every right to do it.
Yeah, don't touch the book.
But
though.
you trying to say that the book is allows for that?
You
No,
right.
it don't.
Do they do that?
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
it. They got gay churches and all that.
The Queen James Bible? Yeah, you can look it
As
up.
soon as you sit up
It's called the
there,
Queen
Hold
James.
on.
as soon
Yes.
as you sit up there and try to add the Bible to it,
Yes.
that
Yes.
don't make any sense.
Yes.
The Bible, we got the things right over here.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I mean, but then we got the Hebrews that get drunk on the Sabbath and desecrate the Sabbath and say it's an offering to the Most High.
Drink
It's
off.
a drink
That's an
offering.
offering.
It's a drink offering.
That they drinking.
Getting drunk is a drink
I
offering.
mean, you can't do an
And then you're
offering
hungover, you
because
can't
there
even
ain't no altar. The drink offering was you might have had some of the drink,
You pour
but
it
the
out.
drink was poured. You made it an offering by pouring it at the altar, and so once there ain't no altar, all you doing is having a taste. You can't call it that. But it's so much. That's what I'm saying. It's so much perversion all over the place in the nation, in the nations, all over the place. And these people ain't doing nothing but fashioning their own idols, building it up, beautifying it with silver and gold, and worshiping it. Because when I look in the scriptures sit up here saying, "Don't sit up here and lay with my father's wife," or there's a whole list over here.
All that stuff be going on.
All this stuff
All
be
this
going
stuff be
on.
going on.
Your sister, the nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father or your mother,
Yep.
whether they was born at your home or whether they wasn't.
Yeah.
Any kind of brother, sister, you can't lay with them.
Right.
Any kind of sons of your daughter's daughter, none of them. Your father's wife's daughter, none of them. Your father's sister, your auntie, your mother's sister, your father's brother, the wife of the father's brother, your auntie. None of them.
Right.
There's boundaries. The Most High got boundaries. He ain't with this free for all thing. There's limits upon which
Free love.
love ain't.
Free love.
I don't. That's called wickedness.
I'm about to say that's free wickedness right there.
That's what that's called. All of these things. All these things. Your brother's wife. Your brother's wife.
Yeah.
The woman and her daughter. The woman and the daughter. No, do you take the son's daughter? All of these. I mean, when you look and figure out the relationship that is describing, you would think that it's like
That you wouldn't.
it's self-explanatory.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I should already know that, that's my cousin, or that's my auntie, or that's my uncle, or that's my brother's wife. Like it's like I can't. Like I mean, coming up, like somebody who like used to mess with your boy, it was off limits.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
Used to mess with your boy.
right.
Yeah,
that
same
ain't
goes for
the
me.
thing.
Oh, today? Oh,
People
good
like,
luck.
they marrying like your boy, you know what I mean? The whole crew.
They be like, you
And
done
then
with him?
marry her.
Oh, you done with
know?
him?
Yeah.
All right.
But I had dated some girls in my past, and it never felt right. There was 2 girls I dated in my past, and it never felt. I was like just uneasy about it the whole time. Come to find out, one was my cousin, and then the other one was my brother's cousin. And I cut them things off. I was like, oh man.
Brother's cousin?
My brother's cousin. Even though it's like, we don't got the same dads, we got the same mothers. And then it was his cousin on his dad's side. But it was still too,
It was still too close.
It was still too close. I was like, nah, they got to go.
Yeah.
But the other one was my cousin on my mom's side. And, I always just felt uneasy. Like, just always like, man, something ain't right with this. And then years later, I found out we was cousins.
And so we live right now in this place where we can sit up here and look at some of these things that we see in Leviticus 18, and somebody gonna be like, "No, this is cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Don't matter."
They're not together anymore. So.
I mean, it's just but that's the point of all this, is understanding that his ways are not our ways. I'm saying the Most High's ways aren't man's ways. And so we have to be able to know what it is that he likes, so that we can do those things. Because we sit out here and we look at the standard that the world creates, and we follow after that standard. That standard is wickedness. It's wickedness.
And it's for good cause too. I mean, there's this odd YouTube channel, and this guy, I don't know. He got a lot of subscribers and views, but he talks to drug addicts, like just getting their mental state. And there was this one about this incest family down West Virginia, where they talk about where it
I
happened.
gotta be West Virginia.
Hey, sis, hey,
I'm just saying.
ain't no shot at you. I know you ain't about it, but you know
I'm
they.
from Pennsylvania, so it's I ain't West Virginia.
But that's what they say. I always hear them say about it, but this video, it's a high production video, and brother and sister spawned this whole family. And they're in this, I forget what part of West Virginia, but the guy goes in. Only like a couple of the people are coherent. But the mental state, the mental illness that happened, the deformity, and the dude, like the way he shot it was like just getting the atmosphere of what it was. And it was like, wow, this is why the Most High said don't do that.
Is he a believer?
No. This dude he just making money on YouTube. Like his niche is to drug addicts, prostitution, and he's getting their mind state of why they did or what happened in their life to lead them to it. But the incest thing, it was the most eerie video. The guy, because they couldn't operate society too much, and the neighbors would protect them. And anybody that came to the house, he said that the neighbors would with guns and be like, "Who are you? Leave that family alone." Da da da. They've been through enough, because news media and all them tried to cover him. So he went. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just making a documentary." He cleared it up. So he went in and filmed it. And one of the youngest men there, he's a man now, but I don't know if they didn't talk to him or what, but he really can't talk. And I guess the dog was around, so he barks. He barks like the dog. Like when you talk to him, he barks at you and tries to say words. But he's a grown man. No. It's the most eerie thing. I'll send it to y'all. But I'm just saying, you can see why the wisdom behind the Most High saying, don't do these things. That's all.
That sounds like the definition of perverse.
I mean, when you think about the things that the Most High calls clean and unclean, He's okay with just saying that it should be this or is that. But it comes to find out the things that are unclean, they're actually dirty.
Right.
Like there's more reason than him just saying because I said so.
Exactly. Yeah.
When we look at these things over here, I mean, if you just think about like a thoroughbred dog, right? A thoroughbred dog is in order for it to be like a thoroughbred, it got to have been. The genes got to be close. The gene pools is close. Mm-hmm. But the problem when you have these thoroughbred dogs is that they got their gene pool is so close that it's weak, and they don't live that long.
Mm. Okay.
Because they sit up. Well, there's animals, but they still, they joining together parents and close relatives to keep that specific blood of the dog to be pure.
Sort of what like the supposed royals used to do.
It's the same kind of a thing, but we see that it causes physiological problems when the gene pool is too close. You got to spread that thing out.
They said that the royals had to have their family started back up. They got a queen from Africa to re-get because their blood and their family was so weak from interbreeding that they had to start over with a black person.
Yeah. To
get their genes strong again.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
There got to be some space. There got to be some differences in that stuff. When you got all that similarity, it causes problems like what you talk about over here.
Yeah.
You can see it in the animal kingdom. You can see it in the human kingdom. And so when we look at this, he's the Most High is giving you not just do this because I said so, but there's actual wisdom behind it.
Right.
There's wisdom behind it.
Yeah, he's trying to protect us, not he don't want us to not have fun. He's like, no.
That's not the motivation.
He's not raining on our parade. He's like, no, I'm trying to save you.
Right.
Yeah.
This is how you do it.
So you don't hurt yourself.
Right.
And then also, too, when we look at this stuff, yeah, remember, he's the designer.
Right.
Yeah.
He the designer of this.
Right.
Yeah.
So he
know the
how
best
it works.
way. He know the best way.
So even if you understand it or not, he the designer.
But Satan's telling people like, oh, the Most High, he just don't want you to have a good time.
He's trying to ruin your fun. Don't constrain yourself.
Just free your inhibitions.
Yeah.
That's a song.
Yeah. And so okay, so we look at these things. Let's see if we get back over here. Let's see. We come down 22 lie. Let's see. Do not lie with a male as with a woman. We talked about that. It says in this abomination. there's not many things the Most High calls an abomination, but this is actually one of those things.
Well, let's go into that word, abomination, because people need to understand abomination.
I mean, just thinking of it, you know what I mean? It's like a bomb in my mind. A bomb in my mind.
Abomination?
Oh, my goodness.
You funny for that one.
All right, so this word says something that is disgusting.
Wow. Yeah.
Morally. That is an abhorrence, especially idolatry. Concretely, idol, abominable, custom thing, abomination. Let me see. Where's the King James? Oh, here we go. Abominations. So this word is used. Let's see. If we look in the law, that's what we're looking at. Let's see. Deuteronomy 18. And learn according to the abominations of these nations. That's kind of a general thing.
Yeah.
So we don't know which hold on. We don't know which abominations he's referring to. Let me see. Okay, here we go. That was the one I just looked up. What's this one here? 12. Oh, let's see what this one's talking about here. Okay, so this is like witchcraft and sorcery and things.
Yeah.
There's abomination. What else? That's 18, 20. Oh, this is just general abominations according to the people that's in the land. Again, it's basically the same thing. Teach you according to their abominations.
And which, what he called abominations is what we talking about. So
I know. That's what I mean.
Like people's doing it.
We're looking
like
at
today.
these other places where it says abominations, and it's just saying these general things. But when we figure out what the specific things is that he connects with abominations, it's idolatry, it's the sexual stuff, and it's this wizardry, I guess, is sorcery and all
Which
that.
is like
idolatry.
It's coming in real big right these days. Like everything is like about witchcraft and
Definitely.
yeah.
And then he say, like, when he purged these lands of these people, it wasn't for our righteousness, it was because of their wickedness.
Yeah.
So it was like,
I mean,
just to set the tone.
and when you think about it, okay, so thinking about mainstream Christianity talking about grace. Grace being this thing. This is a New Testament concept. We just seen over here, this land is being destroyed not because of Israel, because of the wickedness of the people though.
Right.
These people are so wicked they need to be replaced. They need to be taken out of here because of their wickedness. So it don't necessarily have anything to do with Israel. It got to do with the wickedness of these people.
Right. Yeah.
But that's grace though. When you receiving this thing that you didn't earn it, you're not getting it based on your own merit.
Right.
You getting it based on the Most High's purpose.
Yeah.
And his purpose is these people's wicked. I need these people out of
They
here.
got to go.
Right.
I mean, I look around. I don't want to be hard, but I see a bunch of people that got to go.
But couldn't grace also be like, this is your time to acknowledge that this is wrong? to change?
Well, I mean, we see that that's something that will indeed happen. I don't know if I put the title grace on it though. Is all. I know that people.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's going to be a time when, everyone will see and know what is what.
Right.
I mean,
without
aren't
a
the
shadow.
wicked receiving grace right now?
They receiving blessing that is really the fruit of wickedness. So they're receiving a blessing that's not directly connected to they're receiving something that they're not earning as far as reaping and sowing is concerned.
So like us right now we're the grace.
What you mean?
Like we're the wicked isn't receiving grace, but like us sitting here in the spirit right now is the grace.
Well, when you think about grace, you're thinking about receiving something
Unmerited.
That you didn't deserve.
that you didn't deserve.
Unmerited.
It's unmerited favor that you're receiving. And so when we think about the grace that we receive, we actually deserve to have death because of sin and
Wickedness that we
transgression.
did, yeah.
We deserve death, but instead we receive life because through Yeshua.
Right.
And so when you think about people that have all of this, I mean, I guess you wouldn't typically classify ill-gotten gain as grace, but I guess from a technical standpoint, it's undeserved favor.
Yeah.
And the Most High decided that He's not going to kill you instantly because of your sin.
Right. They had like
Which
a grace
everybody
period.
is a grace period,
Right.
where He's going to offer His forbearance. He's not going to kill you instantly, even though you need to die right now. But there's going to come a time for each and every one of us when we got to stand before the throne, where we get to pass or not.
That's when grace is up.
That's when.
Time of reckoning.
That's when. That's when this thing that we're right now technically calling grace is up. Yes.
I mean,
When everybody got to account for everything that you've done.
if we lived by the Torah, there would be a lot less wickedness out here.
Yeah, because within the Torah,
You cut that off early.
the wickedness gets erased.
Right.
You don't let it go on.
Yeah, you don't let that.
You out of here.
Right.
You don't let these things go on.
Yeah, if it was, I mean, I don't know if you say a nation, but if it like spread like wickedness, the world would start healing itself.
Yeah.
You
Ultimately.
mean with the Torah?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why we need, because Yeshua, that's why he said, he gotta cut my people off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like they ain't gonna heal.
If we lived according to the law, statutes, and commands, I mean, there won't be no wickedness.
Right.
Because I'm saying, just gonna be transgressions, but you taking care of those things.
Right.
It's worked into the law, and so yeah, I mean, you getting rid of these things, but we live in this perverse place, this lawless society, this place that's separated from the Most High. But inside of it, we have to be the beacons of light that walk around and exemplify righteousness, and that's what He's calling for us to do. I want to just lastly just bring up, if we go down, let me see. If we go down to the bottom of the chapter there, verse 21 we read in Leviticus, chapter 18. where it says, "Do not give your offspring to pass through to Molech." Molech, to my understanding, was this god that they had, where you would go and you would take your child that you was offering to Molech to basically be killed. And my understanding, I think, was burning, where you the Molech would be this little statue thing, and you would sit up there and offer your child to this idol, to this demon, this false god. And so when you think about Torah, Israel, where we as Israel, we teach our children righteousness. We teach them the Torah. We teach them the law, statutes, and commands, and we prick them with the law, statutes, and commands, showing them the ways and teaching them and training them in the ways. When you think about kind of the spiritual application of giving your offspring to pass through to Molech, is where we kind of allow for, instead of you being the influence over your child and teaching your child the ways of the Most High, you allow for these foreign entities to be the main influence of your child. Which, when you look at how things are kind of set up, especially when you get kind of like on a university level, with education, it's like if you're not grounded as a young person in faith, and you sit up here and go and learn from these universities, they just teach you just how to just be a non-believer.
Yep. They lock you in.
They sit up here and train you in the ways of the world, and these things that are contrary to the Most High.
Yep.
And it's so important that as believers in the Most High, and as people who are following after the ways of the Almighty, that we train our children up in righteousness, so that when they go out here and experience these other things in the world, that they're able to stand on this faith and not be taken away by these people out here, because they sit up there and teach you these ways, and you come away feeling like everybody should have the right to just love whoever they want to love, and all of these kind of progressive quote unquote progressive ideas, where it's pure wickedness. It's pure wickedness. And when we look at this chapter as a whole, just a overarching thing that is trying to help for us to understand is just the fact that the Most High, again, I said this already, he has a way that he wants for us to be, and he didn't hide it from us. He's giving it to us plain, and it's open, and he wants for us to follow after this. He knows that we have a past. He knows that we came from a place. He knows that we're going to another place, and we're in the midst of wickedness all around us. But he wants for us to be able to be strong and maintain the righteousness that he has given to us, so that we don't allow for these outside influences to take us away from the truth.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
That a lot of times, whenever I'm working with people, they'll say, well, then they look at the Bible or whatever, they have this expectation or thought process that like those people or even the people who might be here was like either born a certain kind of way. And so of course it's easy for you if you was born that way.
What you mean, born that way?
Well, born in the faith, born according,
Oh, yeah.
And so of course it's easy for you, but they don't understand that when the Most High gave the Torah, He gave it to people who came out of Egypt.
Mm,
So they wasn't always like that.
yeah.
They wasn't always following those rules, or they didn't always know.
They had a past.
They had a past too.
They had something
Moses had a
wicked to
past.
remember.
Good point.
They had something wicked to remember. And you know, speaking from somebody who, you know, people might, I don't like to talk about myself like this. People might look at me and think that I'm some righteous person or whatever.
You right? You right?
I mean,
Imputation.
humbly, let me just humbly say.
Humbly.
I'm just saying, you know, people say, well, you know, you were raised in the truth, and you know, this person, you don't know about like how, you know, you can't relate to these
Unrelatable,
things.
that's the word.
And you know, the Most High, Yeshua HaMashiach, brought me from somewhere. Let me just say He brought me from somewhere. I am the person that I am today because of Yeshua HaMashiach, not because of, you know, me being so-called raised in the truth. It only got to do with Yeshua and what He done for me.
Yeah.
Because when I was a young person, when I was a teenager, when I was a young early 20 person, I acted just like a teenager and just like a 20-year-old person. I did all of the things. You know, I was just a stiff-necked person that just lived according to my flesh, just like everybody else. The difference is that I did have a foundation that I got so far, and then I was pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Not to say that my whole life was perfect, or not to say that I'm perfect right even now. But the difference is that, yeah, I did have a foundation to come back to. But without Yeshua, though, I'd be nowhere. I'd be lost. And so, just like we look over in Leviticus chapter 18, these people, Israel, coming out of Egypt, given the Torah out of the mouth of the Most High, they had a past. They had things that they was familiar with, that they could have went ahead and just gravitated towards those things. And then they was going to a place, they was surrounded with wickedness all around. And the Most High is calling for them, and He calls for us the same way, to, regardless of the fact that we have this wicked past, and regardless of the fact that we are surrounded by wickedness all around, we still have to maintain our righteousness, and we still have to be pledge our allegiance to Yeshua and do the things that He would have for us to do, and allow for the Ruach HaKodesh to be the thing that is our main and only influence throughout this wicked world that we live in. There's no difference. Them people had wicked behind them and wicked in front of them, and the Most High said, be set apart. You got wickedness behind you. You got wickedness in front of you, and the Most High is saying to you, be set apart.
Do you say that when they say don't give your children a Molech, a lot of people, of course, what you're saying about as far as giving them to the system and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, just one thing about giving them to the system, and this is all about the sexual immorality stuff that, you know, we know in the public school system, they will speak in your children's ear about and behind your back.
You don't know what they saying. You don't know what they saying.
They will literally remember. It was your cousins in high school, Carrick High School, and the whatever the homosexual association in Pittsburgh is, came to the school and said, if you or whatever, call this number, this hotline, to get help. Don't go, you know. But basically, it's like, don't go to your parents, because your parents might try to say, no, that's not what you're going to do. But call this hotline, and they'll help you. I don't know if it's like the Rainbow Coalition.
That happens. I don't know if it's that either.
Yeah,
that's something different. But yeah.
But I'm saying they came to the school.
Yeah.
Might as well be. Yeah, probably, I mean, it sounds like it.
All right,
There was some rainbows involved.
But
Same thing. I was just gonna say same thing about what Tirta was saying with abortion. You know, they'll put that help number. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
They'll put that number out. You know, that helpline. You don't have to talk to your elders. You don't have to go to adults, your parents. You know, you can just call us and we'll take care of it. And nobody has to know. It's secret.
Yeah.
But then that was the thing I was going to ask is the abortions is people say that's giving your children a Molech.
Yeah, I mean because you're sacrificing your seed, you're sacrificing your children. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. The Most High has given you this, whether, you know, whatever the situation is. There was always orphans. You know what I'm saying? There was always orphans. Like if you don't want the baby, somebody wants a baby. People out here trying to have babies all the time and can't have babies. Somebody want a baby. You know what I mean? I mean, I see when people get to the place where maybe they get raped or something and then they become pregnant, but I don't know what the percentages are, but I feel like I want to say people just are careless and get pregnant for the most part. And then you sacrifice a human being because of something that you did. When you look over here at this thing, you're talking about sacrificing your baby to the idea of your Molech, I guess, in that situation. Your Molech,
for your best interest,
and for your interest, you sacrifice the baby.
You kill somebody.
It's just another example of something that our society teaches us that's right, that's wicked. And, you know, and again, you know, we just have to say that, you know, the Most High expects for us to live in this place that's contrary to Him and walk in a way that's contrary to this place.
Right.
And He gives us the tools to do it. He gives us the Spirit inside of us. He gives us His law, statutes, and commands. He gives us that strength, power, and ability to walk in righteousness if we would just do it. There's no influence that's stronger than the Spirit of the Most High.
Right.
If we would just live and walk according to the Spirit. And so, that's when we look at this chapter. You know, the main thing that I see in this chapter is really about, self-restraint, which self-restraint really is discretion, right? And discretion is something that is a fruit of the Spirit. He gives us all of these restrictions that, in your carnality, you have to create borders for your carnality so that you don't sit up here and do these things that's contrary to the Most High. He wants for us to be people that walk in the Spirit and not in the flesh, not be people who sit up here and succumb to the lusts of our flesh, because when we do this, we're just showing the fact that we're disconnected from the Father. Okay. All right. So that being said, does anybody have any last thoughts, questions, or comments before we're done?
One last thing on Leviticus 18, 21, how you were saying how parents aren't guiding their kids correctly. I was thinking about how social media teaches our kids to, serve other idols.
Yeah.
TikTok, do this dance, do this song, say it this way, dress this way. Those are our role models for our children.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful on what our kids are watching and taking in, that's exactly what they're going to be doing.
Yep.
My daughter used to sneak to school in kindergarten with her favorite skirt, and put it in her book bag.
Oh my goodness.
And change it when she got to school. In kindergarten.
Wow.
I didn't know she was doing that. Change her, and then before she got back home, she would change it. So she knew it was wrong. She knew it was wrong. Teacher probably thought this baby ain't got no clothes. Wearing her favorite skirt to school every day.
Yeah, and so, we have to, as hard as it may seem, we got a lot to compete with all of these influences, but you got to be the strongest influence over your children in these wicked days and times, because it's a lot out here. There's a lot out here for these young people to gravitate towards, and if we not laying down a strong foundation in these children, they gonna go astray.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Yep.
I think even as far as we talk about when children come in the door, and a lot of times they're bringing in what they've, just like an adult. We think about adults all the time, that when an adult come in, they have a past. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the children been immersed in whatever lifestyle their parents have raised them in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they come in, they're not necessarily coming in because they believe in something. They're coming in because their parents are believing in something, or starting to believe in something. And so when we're looking at the children coming in from, Israel returning and the children coming in, that's another dynamic.
It is, and that's why it's important for people to really deal with the entirety of the family, and restoration of all things, because it's a total. And when we get back into Torah, that's what it is. It's not just about individuals in the household. It's about the household. It's about the whole house being restored. And so, when people get serious about this life, things do fall into place. But you gotta get serious first. You gotta get serious first. You know what I mean? And until that happens, because like we said earlier, it's a lot that you gotta do. There's a lot that you gotta change. There's a lot of undoing that needs to be done. But believe that undoing must be done. It must be done. Your current situation outside of Messiah is altogether wicked. Period. Point blank. Your current status outside of Messiah is altogether wicked. And so none of that stuff gets to stay the same. All of it needs to change. And when people are able to come to that realization, things begin to happen. But when you want to just keep on being like the world, then I guess you just got a little ways to go. All right, so that being said, we are going to be done for now. Y'all willing, we'll be back on next week dealing with the next chapter. Everybody who's came to check out the video, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, tell other people to subscribe so that we can continue to get the word of the Mosai out to the people. All right, so for now, we'll say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And y'all willing, next week we shall return.